Hello and welcome to the Rob, Natalie, Benny Experiment, the RNBER weekly podcast where we talk about your favorite things and things that we pick that potentially could be clickbaity.
Yeah, things that we know people will watch, that will get views.
So for those guys who don't know, this is the show that Rob and I do every Saturday, and occasionally Natalie right here joins us. That is her happy face.
Scared.
Show them your happy face.
Yes, that is my happy face.
God, you make it sound like you're going in front of the firing squad. It's not going to be that bad, Natalie.
I'm sorry, I don't like being clueless on the topic.
Oh, it's fun.
So anyway, what we do here every week is we typically go down some kind of a list format created by you, another website, or something to try and educate ourselves on information about the topic of the day. With the movie coming up, I caught that like a boss.
That. Wow.
That was beautiful.
Spider-Man
Dude,
over here.
kudos for that. That's fun. That's amazing.
That was a Spider-Man moment.
That's like a dad moment. You just not really even paying attention.
Anyway, yeah. So we go over some topics. We don't normally create our own full list for this. If anything, it's an amalgamation of multiple lists. And that's what today's is. Today's an amalgamation of the Screen Rant's list and the CBR list for the times that the Justice League has failed.
Yes.
And I'm not going to lie. Most of these I knew. There's one on here that I had no idea about, and I'm calling dibs on it right now.
Okay.
I'm telling the story first, and you can't stop me.
No, I want to do the one where Steppenwolf kills everybody. So
we'll get to that one. Let's kick it off with that because that's not on either of these lists.
Okay.
So we're going to start the first one.
Well, you know more about it than I do. So
the Earth 2 storyline, right?
Yes.
Okay. So, in the New 52, Natalie, I'll educate you, just fill you in on the times of the Justice League.
I need it.
By the way, today's episode is brought to you by Jupiter Jet, a comic book written by a friend of ours, Jason Inman.
Yes.
That is coming out on December 3rd or 8th off the top of my head. But the reason I'm mentioning it now is if you go to your local comic book store before November 13th, you can pre-order it right now still. Yeah. And if you can't, go to your local comic book store on November 3rd or 8th. I will put the official time in the comments down below in the description. But I wanted to let you guys know, we're putting up an image of it right now. It is a good comic. I got to read the first one, and he's a friend of ours. So please, help him out. Go over there and check out that comic.
Yep.
Okay. And also it's brought to you by our gaming channel, Eligible Monster, where Rob, me, and Natalie talk about a very similar show, just in a much shorter format, and we teach Rob about video games because he's clueless. He's clueless, boys and girls.
I'm not... I mean, I'm a little bit. Not really clueless.
We've switched places, it looks like, Rob. Huh? I'm completely clueless about this. We've switched places, pretty much.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Well, you're not completely clueless.
Anyway, if you enjoy this type of show, go check out our gaming channel. Those episodes go out pretty much every Monday and Friday.
Yeah.
Okay, back to the first thing. Earth 2. We're going to start at the top of the list. I don't even know how many we have, so I'm just going to... we're going to go the other way. So that way, if I lose track, you guys can make fun of me. Number 1. Earth 2 in the New 52. So the first volume of New 52, Earth 2, was Steppenwolf arriving, like in the movie, and killing the Trinity.
Batman, Superman, and Wonder Woman.
He kills them all. So what ends up happening is Batman goes into the device to stop because Steppenwolf goes in to pave the way for Darkseid most of the time. So the device comes down there and it's going to pave the way for Darkseid. Batman goes into it and sacrifices himself, blowing that up. Yeah. Superman gets killed by Steppenwolf, or killing him, they kill each other, and the body's unrecoverable. And I can't remember what happens to Wonder Woman, but she dies as well.
Okay.
The Justice League at the time is only the 3 of them, and they fail horribly.
That's crazy.
But they do prevent Darkseid from arriving. But all they've done is prevent it from happening for the next 5 years.
Yeah.
How?
Well, because Steppenwolf just hangs out on Earth. Because the reason why they stopped it was because Darkseid was invading the main DC universe in the New 52 Justice League run.
Yeah.
So
Steppenwolf basically goes and paves the way. He kills everyone who could oppose Darkseid and stuff like that. So when Darkseid shows up, he's like, "Oh, you've done everything. Omega beams, Omega beams, Omega beams."
And that's exactly it.
Jesus.
Yeah, but Steppenwolf failed, so he just hung out on Earth for 5 years.
Yeah.
He just sat
and a new Justice League is built up with the new Green Lantern, a new Flash, and all these other individuals.
It's like I think it's called the Age of Heroes, like the World Army or something like that.
World Army comes in. They have an Atom. They have initially it's the Flash, Green Lantern. Eventually we get another Batman. Turns out that the Batman was actually Bruce Wayne's father. It was really cool. We also eventually get a new Superman, but he's the Valzad.
Oh, yeah. He's the other survivor of Krypton.
Yeah.
Because there was no Supergirl in that, was there?
There was, but she got, during the whole event of Earth 2, she got sucked into a portal, which put her on Earth Prime. She became Power Girl. Because that universe already had Supergirl.
Oh, that's where she came from. Okay. I was wondering where New 52 Power Girl came from, and I never took the time to look up her origin.
That's where she came. Literally, if you follow the story, she is Supergirl in the original books, just like a Huntress is Robin. And then when they fall through to the Earth Prime, they discover there's already a Robin. And in this universe, Bruce Wayne never had a daughter. He had a son. And they also discovered that there's already a Supergirl. So they take the titles of Huntress and Power Girl.
Because they had a team-up comic, didn't they?
Yep.
Yeah.
It was pretty good for a good chunk of it. And then they'd have weird stories in there.
Yeah, I never read it.
So the Justice League failed on that story.
Yeah.
Okay?
Mind blown already. Yes. Mind blown already.
There's actually a comic where they die,
Yeah.
like a die. And then the Earth 2 comic went on for 6-7 years.
Did it?
Yeah.
It was a monthly. No, it didn't. It was a monthly series. How many issues was it?
There's like 7 or 8 volumes. Because it went until Convergence. And then it ended with Convergence. Convergence was the official ending of the series. And it then picked up as Society until Rebirth.
Well, then, yeah, that was probably about 4 or 5 years then.
It was the entirety of New 52 and DCU.
Yeah.
So at least 5 years. And the kicker is, it wasn't just a single comic called Earth 2. It was it was 2 comics in that universe because Power Girl and Huntress was tied into that. So you had 2 comics about that whole thing.
Wow. And
it's like I've said about the Injustice comic books. The reason why I think Earth 2 did so good is it followed the entirety of the DC universe. So you had one comic just telling solid stories instead of having to come up with fluff. If there was a fluff moment for a character, they would just go to another epic moment with another character.
Yeah.
That's why I think the Injustice comics are so good. Because they don't pause. There's no scene where Batman's like, so today we're just gonna dick around.
Yeah, they don't show you Barry Allen's date with Iris.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Like there's always something insane.
Yeah.
So,
that's cool.
What do you feel about that?
Why are you looking at me?
Because you're the truly clueless
I already said mind blown because I had no idea that they actually died. So I mean, anything's possible in comic books. I know that, but I just didn't know that it happened. So
another time that the Justice League failed. We've mentioned this in almost every podcast that involves people dying. Emperor Joker.
Oh yes.
You want to tell that story to Natalie?
I don't remember the ins and outs of it.
How could we talk about it almost every week?
Yeah. Okay. So there's this.
Even he knows what happens in Emperor Joker now.
he doesn't.
There is this character called Mr. Mxyzptlk, something like that. Anyway, the character is basically God. Like he can do almost anything. He can warp reality, do all kinds of crazy stuff.
Okay.
The Joker gets 1% of his power, tricks him, and then gets the other 99%, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah. So anyway, he gets like a bulk of Mr. Mxyzptlk's power, and so the Joker becomes God and can do anything he wants to.
That is not good.
Yeah, like one of the things he does is he kills Batman and resurrects him every single day. Like it's crazy. Yeah. He ate all of like everybody in China using chopsticks.
Stop.
No, I kid you not. I kid you not. You can look up the panel for it. It's crazy.
Oh
He's got chopsticks and he's just like it's the craziest thing ever. Yeah, it's nuts.
Oh my god.
And then Superman. I don't remember what was the deal with Superman.
He's the one that eventually solves it. I think he was a dog. And someone gets turned back to normal, like Mxyzptlk does it or something like that.
I don't remember what it was.
I don't fully remember exactly, but Superman in the end saves the day by convincing the Joker that he's in love with Batman, and if he constantly kills him, he'll never be able to reenact what happens between Joker and Batman, where Joker's always trying to get Batman to capture him. Yeah. And Joker agrees to that and gives up the power.
You know, for a god, he is very gullible. Joker?
No, that's always been a thing. The Joker's
I
Batman,
know, but just, like someone that gets inside his brain and just...
Well, no, Superman convinced him to give it up. It wasn't like he tricked him.
He convinced him, though.
Yeah.
Like,
hey, your life's going to be boring if you keep doing this.
I mean,
it's cool.
He does have a point. I mean, it's true.
Number 3, in a story that I fully intend on eventually covering on this channel, we have Kingdom Come.
Oh, dude, I did that a while ago. Yeah.
Still haven't done it.
Oh, dude, it's so good.
Oh, it is.
Yeah,
so the story of Kingdom Come, I'll do this one. This is going to be very much us going back and forth because you know most of these stories as well.
Okay.
So in the story of Kingdom Come, there's a guy named Magog. Magog, that's how you say, right?
Magog, I think.
Magog?
Yeah.
Okay.
No, that's what I always called him.
He's basically a new generation of superheroes, and he arrives and he kills the villains finally.
Yeah, now he kills the Joker because Joker went to the Daily Planet, killed Lois Lane, Jimmy Olsen, everybody in there.
It's about time someone did something about that.
Welcome to the public. No, seriously. No. Welcome to the public's reaction to Magog.
That's exactly it. Like the public, like the Joker goes on trial, and like Magog shows up and kills him, and then like the whole of humanity celebrates, and Superman's just like, okay, well then if that's how you're gonna be, I quit.
Yeah.
And then okay.
So it's like it's because we had this discussion with this argument more like with Injustice, right?
Yeah. Yeah, no, they finally go that route. And what ends up happening is, if I remember correctly, we get to a dark time of like vigilantism is where they kill villains and things like that.
Yeah, it's like all the villains are for the most part defeated. So like all the heroes do are just fight. Like this new generation of heroes, they just fight each other all the time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And what ends up eventually happening is, it's been so long since I read it, but Superman has to come back. He's convinced that he's needed by Wonder Woman, isn't it?
Yeah. Well, it's a couple of things that happen. Wonder Woman convinces, Wonder Woman's like, look, the world's in shambles because Superman just retired to the Fortress of Solitude.
Yeah, he just left.
Yeah, he's gone. And so Wonder Woman's like, you have to stop punishing them. You have to come back. They know they screwed up because all of humanity is just living in fear of all these heroes and stuff. At the same time, Norman McKay, I think is who it is, gets a vision from Sandman where he says the world's going to come to an end. And then the Spectre shows up. And the Spectre's like, God's vengeance, whatever. Yeah. Spectre shows up and is like, yeah, the world's going to end. We have to find a way to stop it. So basically, if Superman doesn't come back and help to curb the actions of all these different heroes who have gone crazy, then the world's going to be destroyed.
Yes.
So, and it's so cool. And God, it just looks beautiful. Alex Ross.
It's drawn by Alex Ross. I should have been. He did the whole thing. Yeah. It's a beautiful book, but yes, the Justice League does fail. They let the villain die and they quit. Mm-hmm. I forget, where did Batman go?
No, Batman retired.
Because Red Robin took over. That's that weird costume that I don't like for Tim Drake.
Yeah, and I feel like he was. God, it's almost kind of sad. Like Batman, I don't remember what he did, if he became just like a corporate stooge or what. I think he retired. The Green Lantern, Alan Scott, just built like a giant Green Lantern fortress above Earth and just stays there and just waits for any threat that might show up from outer space, and none ever comes. And then the Flash, Wally West, which is odd, it's weird.
He gets so fast he can't stop anymore.
He can't stop, so he just races around the city.
You did mention that before.
He's used to power the city, if I remember correctly.
I can't remember off the top of my head.
Jesus.
So anyway, number 4 or 3? What? I've already lost track. Oh, we're on 4. We're on 4.
Yes, 4.
Okay. Darkseid wins. For the record, this is supposed. Kingdom Come's a little bit of a separate world. Earth 2's in continuity. This is Darkseid winning in the main Earth. Final Crisis.
Oh, yeah. Well,
he straight up wins because he has the anti-life equation and removes everyone on the world's free will.
Oh, he does. That's right.
He wins.
The Flash and them run to the future.
Yeah.
Like a month into the future.
And he's won.
And he won. He conquered the world.
And then what happens to fix it is the Flash's Speed Force. In one of the most, how the hell does that work moments in comics.
It was so beast, though. It was so amazing, though.
What happened?
I don't think it was beast when he did that.
I loved it. I thought it was amazing.
So the Flash, was it Wally or Barry? I think it was Wally.
Both.
Was it?
It was.
No. Barry shows up there, but I think Wally meets Linda and breaks her out of it. Anyway, the Speed Force apparently has the power to break the power of the anti-life equation. And he starts breaking people out of it.
That is the only thing that can break it?
You're thinking about him outrunning the bullet. That's the beast.
That's what I'm thinking about. Yeah. That was a cool point.
When they go into the future, though, either Barry or Linda, or Barry or Wally, their girlfriend is obviously controlled by the anti-life equation. Iris. Okay. And they discover that the Speed Force can break it.
Yeah. Because it's I think it's Barry. Yeah, because it was when Barry came. It was when he first came back, and it was the first time he saw Iris after he came back.
And she's controlled by the mind.
Yeah, she's controlled by the anti-life equation in the future, and then he embraces her or something like that. They talk or whatever, but she's so happy to see him that she snaps out of the anti-life equation.
Wow.
So he's like, we can cure people of this.
Yeah. Well, I made a video about Flash's powers, and one of the things I notated was the Speed Force, which is how the Flash gets powers, has a very large tendency to give him the ability to do something that's needed for the plot, and then it's never spoken of again.
It's Silver Age Superman. That's exactly
one of which is breaks the anti-life equation.
Yeah, it's like if Speed Force, I ain't got to explain shit.
My favorite is the time that he, it's more of a recent one, but he fought Reverse Flash, and Reverse Flash can slow time, and for some reason in that issue, Barry could speed up time to counter it.
Yeah, make it back to normal, yeah.
But that was the only thing that could break them out of it, the Speed Force, that's it?
Yeah, that's how they broke him out of the anti-life equation. It then leads to a series of things, and in the end, Batman gets a gun with a radion bullet in it that can kill gods, and he shoots Darkseid, and Darkseid shoots him with the Omega beams, kills Batman.
Yeah.
Because what actually happens, you like that?
Yeah. Yeah.
Kills Batman, but it turns out at the last second, Batman's body was swamped with a clone of Batman.
Yeah.
Which we don't discover until Blackest Night when the Batman's revived from the dead, but it's a clone and he's like, and then he dies again, and everyone's like, that makes no sense. And then we discover Batman is actually traveling through time.
Yep. The Return of Bruce Wayne is what it was called. No, the anti-life equation is a mathematical proof.
Okay.
That if you access it, whatever, and you expose somebody to it, then you can dominate their wills entirely. And so what Darkseid does, it's crazy. It's the digital age. Darkseid's guys release the anti-life equation through the internet. So it's like Skynet, basically. And it goes to every phone, every computer, every TV, the whole 9 yards. And the whole world's exposed to the anti-life equation. And they're all just controlled by Darkseid.
Yep.
That is insane.
And then he starts converting a huge portion of humanity to like parademons or something like that. Yeah, it gets insane. Yeah.
They have to recover. I think at the very ending, because doesn't Darkseid not die? Is that the one where Superman has to sing him to death?
Yeah.
Wait, what?
Okay. So it's
sing him to death.
So
Superman,
the writer is Grant Morrison.
Yeah.
He's known for being a little out there.
Like when by out there we mean like straight jacket padded room out there. So like his idea was everything has a vibrational frequency.
Okay.
Universes, planets, whole 9 yards. Superman whistles at the vibrational frequency of Darkseid.
Okay.
Like his essence or something like that. And like shatters the essence of Darkseid or something along those lines. It's the most nonsense thing ever. It would be like if you whistled and Benny exploded. That's what Grant Morrison basically said.
It's not really singing.
What's the Hunger Games whistle?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, put your fingers up.
Oh, God. It's not really singing then. It's more
I believe
whistling.
he sung at the right note, I think.
Oh, I don't remember if it was singing or whistling. He made a series of musical notes using his vocal cords.
Yeah.
And it resulted in Darkseid just being destroyed.
Yeah.
And then he made a wishing machine.
Excuse me?
That's right. That's how they fixed the world
everything.
being conquered by Darkseid.
Yep, they have a wishing box. So while Darkseid was conquering the world, like Superman was taken to the 31st century and was like, "Here's a wishing box. This is basically what a Green Lantern ring will become if given enough time and pushed to the extremes or whatever."
Right.
Superman has 3 seconds to look at it, uses X-ray vision, and memorize how it works, and then goes back to his normal day. And it gets built perfectly in every conceivable way. And they use a wishing box to fix everything.
Final Crisis was a bit weird.
God, it was crazy. It was.
Jesus.
It didn't make any sense.
So anyway, number 5. Gary, keep track for me. 5? Okay, he's not going to go there.
Okay.
They put on here that it was the time that Superboy Prime in Infinite Crisis decimated the league.
Oh.
I don't consider that a failure.
No, I consider it a failure. Dude, I consider no, man, Natalie, let me tell you something. Man, let me tell you the story.
Okay.
All right, man, dude. Superboy Prime shows up. All right, he was watching the Earth superheroes. All right, after being locked in this paradise dimension, whatever it was, after Crisis on Infinite Earths, and was like, this is not how superheroes were supposed to be. All right, they're not supposed to be anti-heroes walking. They're supposed to be good guys. Right. All right, so he punches through reality. Right, punches through. It's
just comics. Like that.
Yeah, he just punches through the paradise dimension.
How does one punches through reality, Rob? I
don't know. Ask Jeff Johns.
It revived Jason Todd from the dead.
It did.
When he punched reality, it sent ripples and it affected things in the DC universe. One of which was reviving Jason Todd from the dead.
But how did he know that? I'm so confused by this right now.
Okay, he punches reality the way you punch a window and breaks out of the paradise dimension. All right, shows up on Earth in DC. All right, now at this time, Connor Kent is Superboy. He'd been Superboy since Superman died, whatever. He was made by Lex Luthor. All right, he's there. Superboy Prime's like, you're not the real Superboy. So and he wants to go attack him. Right? So there's another guy named Alexander Luthor, don't care about him, trying to recreate the multiverse. So he's like, dude, you gotta let me take care of Connor Kent, man. You gotta let me take care of this, man. Because this dude does not need to be Superboy, man.
Right.
And so Alex, dude, man.
Are you drooling?
Dude, man, I love this story, man. Dude, I love this story, man. All right, so Alexander Luthor is like he's like a dog trying to get off his chain, right? So he's like, man, you gotta wait. Finally, Alexander Luthor lets him go. Superboy Prime races over to Connor Kent, right? And it's just like, bitch, bam, and wrecks Connor Kent. So then Connor Kent's like, everybody, we need help. Somebody help me out here. The Teen Titans, I don't think Young Justice was there at the time. Almost all the superheroes show up. Man, let me tell you something. Man, it was ass whooping like you wouldn't believe. Dude, Superboy Prime wrecked them all. Dude, he was ripping people's arms off.
Yeah.
And everything. Yeah, it was brutal. He was crushing the whole superhero community by himself. He, the Green, it took, it took 2 Supermen and 30 Green Lanterns to fly him through a yellow sun to strip him of his powers for a second to keep him incapacitated in order to beat him. They couldn't kill him. They couldn't kill him per se. He had no weaknesses except for red solar radiation, and that was it. Dude, the dude was basically.
I don't know. No, that was the problem. I don't think he had that.
No,
Superboy Prime's from a period, I think it was Silver Age. Yeah, he doesn't have a weakness. That's the problem.
Well, no, he came from originally he didn't have a weakness. He came from a universe where instead of Krypton being blown up, Krypton was incinerated by his sun. Oh. So there was no kryptonite from his universe. Not to mention his universe was destroyed during Crisis on Infinite Earths. So like red solar radiation was the only weakness that he had then. But like he wasn't weak to magic like Superman is. Kryptonite only works on Superman from their own universe.
Right.
So like aside from red sun radiation, that was the only weakness he had. And even then, like okay. So while he's wrecking the superhero, man,
it's like you see the mouse on the wheel and he fell off. And then he jumped back on.
Okay. While he's wrecking the superheroes, right? Yes. Like while he's wrecking all the superheroes, so you got like what is it, the Flash, Jay Garrick, and you have like Wally West, and I think like Bart Allen or something like that. They're like, we gotta get him, man. We gotta like push him into the Speed Force. So like they're grabbing him, like they're trying to push him in, and then I think like Barry Allen or somebody reaches in from the other side and like yanks him in.
They trap him in the Speed Force.
They trap him in the Speed Force.
Wow.
Yeah, and then like he comes out of the Speed Force, and you're like, man, how did he come out of the Speed Force? And Jeff Johns is like. And so then he's there. So like he's back, and he's got this beastly looking costume that like amplifies all the solar radiation that he has.
Right. It pumps him full of it.
Yeah, that's what it is.
It pumps him full of solar radiation.
Man, dude,
so that he's even stronger. And then he becomes a Yellow Lantern.
Dude, it was the coolest thing ever because you just have this dude, Superboy Prime, and like all the superheroes are trying to defeat him. He's like, man, son, you better come strong. And like none of it works. They can't do anything to stop the guy. It's
Jesus.
Superboy Prime is Jesus, man. That guy.
Don't they push him out of reality again? That's how they beat him?
Mm-mm. So when he's a Yellow Lantern during Sinestro Corps War, one of the Guardians of the Universe, who were like these uber powerful guys, blows himself up to stop Superboy Prime, and it sends him catapulting through the multiverse.
Oh, and that's how he ends up.
That's how he ends up. Yeah.
Currently, as far as we know, he's in the Source Wall, which is the end of the universe. But I think during New 52 and Rebirth, he's just kind of
everybody that was trapped in the Source Wall is gone, and he's not seen or heard from anymore. So he is man, Superboy Prime. Man, let me show you something. That guy's an absolute monster.
So that would be number 5, right? We're on 5. Okay, so number 6 is going to be this book. I've never heard of this story, but apparently it leads to one of your favorites and my favorite stories. It's called Silver Age. Okay, and the Injustice League, thanks to being a pure energy called Agamemno, shows up, goes to the Injustice League, which is Lex Luthor's evil Justice League, and they swap bodies with the Justice League, learning their identities, gaining their powers, and they have to fight against themselves.
Ooh.
Wow.
And I've never heard of this. Have you?
It's just called Silver Age.
Silver Age, apparently. Yeah. The secret identities of the Justice League members are also revealed to their nemesis when the body swaps occur. The villains succeed in securing the items for Agamemnon, despite being driven back into their own bodies, and the Justice League also fails to stop Agamemnon from using the 3 items. The Justice League do eventually prevail over him, trapping him inside of the central power battery. Never heard of that either. And Batman develops a contingency plan in case this ever happens again.
So Tower of Babel.
Tower of Babel.
Oh, dude. That's so cool.
That's where that came from. It makes more sense as to why Batman did that now.
Wow.
So they swap bodies, right? They failed there?
Yes.
Tower of Babel, I think you've seen the movie for. Batman made a plan to stop every member of the Justice League if they ever went evil.
Yes.
And didn't tell him about it.
And didn't tell him. And this is why he did it, apparently.
That's awesome.
I didn't know that was linked.
I didn't either.
Yeah.
Wow. I thought it was just Batman was just like, hey, man, on the off chance that like, they go
exactly.
crazy, let's just be prepped. I thought that's all it was.
So then another time the Justice League failed, Tower of Babel.
Dude, Tower of Babel was
because
so
Batman
good.
defeated every one of them when Ra's al Ghul, and I don't care what you say, it's not Raish, it's not Ra's, it's both of them. It's used in the cartoon, it's used in the goddamn movie. I'm tired of every time I do Ra's al Ghul, everyone's like, no, it's Raish al Ghul. And then when I do Raish al Ghul, they're like, no, it's Ra's al Ghul. It's goddamn both. You can all freaking deal with it. It's goddamn both. Raish and Ra's, exact same person. You know who I'm talking about. It doesn't matter. Anyway, so in the Tower of Babel storyline, Ra's al Ghul.
Isn't Superman the only member that actually knows that Batman can stop him because he gave him a piece of kryptonite?
He depends on the timeline and the story, but yeah.
Yeah, he didn't know about the Batman protocols.
Oh.
Yeah.
At the time, he didn't know about that, right? Yeah. So anyway, Batman's protocols get stolen by Ra's al Ghul, and in the actual comic book, Batman's parents are stolen from their graves.
Oh, dude, that was so hilarious, and it wasn't supposed to be. No, it wasn't supposed to be funny. But like, he goes to the graves of John and Martha, and they're gone. Not John and Martha Kent, of Thomas and Martha Wayne, and they're gone, and he's like, oh!
He loses his mind.
It's so funny.
Oh,
So basically, Ra's al Ghul takes their bodies to distract the Dark Knight, and then enacts these Tower of Babel plans.
Yeah. Oh, dude, it's really cool too. So like, Wonder Woman, I think, is the most interesting one. But he ends up, oh, dude, it's so funny. Martian Manhunter, it's so funny. Like, what is it? One of the guys sprays him with magnesium or something like that, and he ends up like lighting a flame, which Martian Manhunter, depending on what era you're reading, is either actually like afraid of flames, just a psychological thing, or it's legitimately his weakness. It depends on what area you're talking about.
Yeah.
But it's hilarious because people are talking about how like the woods are on fire, and like Wonder Woman and the Flash, Wally West, go to inspect it, and like Martian Manhunter just running through the woods screaming and on fire. It's hilarious. But no, Wonder Woman was
not hilarious.
It was funny to me. But Wonder Woman was the coolest one because Batman realized that she would never stop fighting no matter what. So his idea to take her out was to put a implant in her head that would make her see an enemy that wasn't there.
How did he do that?
Well, they ended up shooting something into her ear or something like that. I can't remember. But like it was an implant, and it made her believe that there was actually an enemy there. And they were like, she'll fight until her heart gives out and she dies.
My God.
They made Aquaman afraid of water. Dude, tell her about Superman. Superman was the coolest one.
I don't remember the comic version of this, but I remember the movie version.
Oh, it was cool.
Does it have something to do with
the movie
Lois?
version was somebody falling off the roof.
Oh.
So he was going to go help them, talk them off. They were going to commit suicide, and he was going to talk them down, and he gets shot with a kryptonite bullet.
No. The comics were...
I know the comics version is better. I just can't remember exactly what it was.
In the comic version, it's a version of red kryptonite that Batman synthesized that made Superman's skin clear. So he's just like bombarded with a ton of solar radiation. But it's hilarious when that happens because Superman's like screaming, and Batman's like, I did this to you. It's hilarious. I mean, it's not supposed to be funny.
No,
I thought it was kind of funny. I laughed during that scene.
Jesus, Rob.
I'm pretty cold.
What did they do to the Green Lantern in the comic? Because the only thing that stands out in my mind now is the cartoon. Because in the cartoon, they had the Green Lantern think that he failed and he lost the will to continue because the fear gas was pumped into the camera.
Dude, it was super cool. If I remember correctly, it was while Kyle Rayner was sleeping. And it was like a subtle
it was a different league than what they used in the cartoon, which is what's throwing me off.
Yeah. It was
just like Martian Manhunter isn't in the other one.
They had him use his ring to make himself blind, I think is what it was. And then with the Flash, they put him through convulsions. They called it seizures in him. Yeah. They would force him. He would just convulse constantly, not stop. So he couldn't move or do anything. He would just sit there and just seize. Yeah, it was like Batman's meme.
For the Flash, I liked the cartoon one better.
What was the cartoon one?
If I remember correctly, it was they had trapped his hand was in a bomb, and like if he stopped moving, the bomb would go off.
That was
so he had to keep running around the planet. And the way they did it was he phased through like an ice cube, like an iceberg, so that split second would give him enough time to get all the way through.
That was a movie, right?
Yeah, they made a movie based on this, but they kind of changed every single one of the ways that the Justice League was defeated because it was a different Justice League. Yeah. It was the one that you now know more regularly, while in the comics of the time, we had people like Martian Manhunter and Kyle Rayner and things like that aren't current in the Justice League right now. So when they did the movie, they swapped them out, and they changed out a few of the events.
Yeah, Tower of Babel was super cool. But no, like, because the League found out that, like, every last one of those actions taken by Ra's al Ghul was what Batman outlined on how to defeat each and every one of them, they thought it was like a personal betrayal. Yeah. So it was kind of crazy because they were like, well, we need to go talk about this, and then Batman just leaves. Doesn't even give him the chance to come back and say, like, you're out or anything like that. He just takes off. Yeah, but it was like Tower of Babel is probably one of the best Batman and Justice League stories ever written. It's really cool. Yeah.
It sounds...
No, it definitely is. I remember reading the original when I was a kid, like when it first came out, and that's why because I've never read it since then. And then the movie came out, and that's just what stands out in my mind now is like the movie version of it. Yeah. Because I remember really enjoying the movie version. But okay, so that's 7 ways that the Justice League has failed so far, right?
I think so.
I got one that's
7.
We're gonna say 7.
Yeah.
Because I'm going to 10 today. 10 ways that the Justice League has failed. Yeah. Okay, so I got one that I know that is on one of these lists, but I know you don't know it, and I know you don't know it. There is a universe in which Lex Luthor is manipulated by Brainiac and doesn't realize it at the time. And Superman is off-world. He defeats the entire League using plans against them in a super battle suit and usual. They don't really explain what he does to everybody, but he defeats them all. When he kills Wonder Woman, this sends Superman running back to the planet Earth in a rage. He goes to Wonder Woman. Her body has been stuffed with kryptonite, so that he's weakened, and then Lex Luthor runs a spear through his back.
Wow.
That's the plot to DC Universe Online.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Dude, that's amazing.
So what ends up happening in that is, now that he's killed the entire League, Lex Luthor discovers that he was actually being manipulated by Brainiac, and it was all to remove the League so that Brainiac can invade the planet. So he goes back in time to before these events happened to create a new version of superheroes to save the world, hence the player characters in DC Universe Online.
Dude, that's a cool plot.
Yeah, it is.
That's a really cool story.
A spear actually kills Superman, though?
Yeah.
Because Wonder Woman's stuffed with kryptonite.
Right.
So he's weak. And it's a kryptonite spear, if I remember correctly, too.
Well,
so it's kind of like kryptonite on kryptonite. Like,
yeah. Well, kryptonite takes away Superman. Like, if you expose him to green kryptonite, takes away his powers and kills him. Red kryptonite mutates him, or causes unchecked, mutations.
Depends on what era of Superman you're looking at.
Yeah,
because in the early days, it would give him a lion's head.
It would. Like, there are some where all red kryptonite does is just take away his powers. Right. But regardless, like, if you expose him to the right kind of kryptonite, you can basically.
Side note, you know, there's a pink kryptonite that turns them gay.
Yeah, I remember that. Yeah,
I'm pretty sure it's just in a parody comic.
Yeah,
How did he die in Men of Steel?
Superman?
Yeah,
he didn't.
No, I mean like no, it wasn't Man of Steel. It was
he's in a Kryptonian healing coma. He's not
Batman,
dead.
Superman.
Batman v Superman.
Yes,
he didn't die.
Yes.
It's like the comics where him and Doomsday just fight to the death. So
I thought he was weakened by kryptonite back then.
No, it's a Kryptonian healing coma. Basically, so long story short, in the 1990s, they decided to kill Superman. Right?
Yeah. Yes.
They were just looking for a way to sell comics. And it worked. It sold amazing numbers of comics. And then DC said, why don't we revive him?
Yeah. Let's bring him back.
It was one of the first incidents of death in comics meaning nothing anymore.
Okay.
Because before then, if a character died, 9 times out of 10, they were dead unless this was a preordained thing. Like, if they died and came back, it was because you had no body. It was your standard trope of the body's not there. They didn't really die. Superman died. And DC was like, let's bring him back.
Yeah.
And the excuse they give you is that he was not actually killed. He was beaten to a point of going into a Kryptonian healing coma, which is apparently what Kryptonians do when they're on the point of death. They go into a coma so they can revive and come back.
No,
that broke death in comics. Taking that quote from Max Landis.
Yeah. Superman's comics never came back. That was an amazing thing.
The Max Landis thing, they explained why.
Max Landis has a video on YouTube called "The Death and Return of Superman,"
and he explains why it sucks and why it's heralded.
And why he killed death in comics.
I remember you watching it, but I was
actually when you watch it, it's funny and it brings up a really good point. It killed death in comics because after that anybody could come back, and they literally did.
That's how they brought back Colossus. It was weird. So in Marvel, they had this thing called the Legacy virus, which is basically the AIDS virus for mutants. And it was wiping them out. And eventually it mutated over the years, whatever. Anyway, Colossus' idea, the character of Colossus was like, well, B says in order for the cure to be synthesized, somebody has to ingest it to see, in order for it to spread, whatever, who knows, I don't know. Convenience of a plot.
Yeah.
And so they kill Colossus. And he sacrifices himself like a hero in order to create a cure for the Legacy virus. Something like 6 years later, or whatever it is, Joss Whedon brings him back. And Astonishing X-Men. It's like, actually, he was alive. He was just taken by an alien who was told that like mutants would lead to the destruction of his planet at some point.
God.
So he's been experimenting on Colossus this whole time. It was an awesome return. It was stupid logic for his return. So it was weird. But.
So that's number 8.
Yep.
Number 9, one of the most infamous ones, full of injustice.
Oh, damn it.
What were you going to go?
I was going to say, is it Injustice? I was going to try to guess.
Do you know the actual plot to Injustice, or do you just play the fighting game?
Well,
how the Justice League failed on that one.
No, I do. It's just that it's been a while, and I put the complete story together like a very long time ago, and I barely remember it, to be honest.
Rob, will you explain what happened and why they failed while I find the actual issues of this other one that I'm trying to...
It was incredible. So Lois Lane gets kidnapped by the Joker.
And then the Joker finally kills her?
No. Lois Lane gets kidnapped by the Joker.
Yes.
The Joker steals kryptonite, and he steals a nuclear bomb. All right, and then he steals the fear toxin from Scarecrow. All right, the whole Justice League is on the hunt for Lois Lane, trying to find her. What the Joker did is he put the nuclear bomb in Metropolis, and then he put Lois Lane in a submarine, and then he doused her, really kind of like filled the place with kryptonite gas or whatever, and then laced it with Scarecrow's fear toxin. so that when Superman got in there, he was exposed to the fear toxin because of the kryptonite and hallucinated that Lois Lane was Doomsday. And then raced her into the sky, raced her into space. And by the time he realized it was her, the toxin had worn off and she was dead. But to make it worse, she was pregnant. So like it's
and he kills her with the pregnant. Okay, yeah, I think I remember now. Yeah.
So like he races back to Earth, punches a hole in the Joker, and it's just like we're conquering the world now.
That's what made him snap.
That's what made him snap. Okay. And it was crazy because some people, like the core members for the most part, all the best members of the Justice League except for Batman chose his side. Yeah. And then Batman was left with like the leftovers, whoever just didn't choose his side. And then
I always found that kind of weird. Every meta is what it is. Every meta sided with Superman, and every non-powered individual sided with Batman.
Actually, that kind of makes sense because Superman's got powers, Batman doesn't. But no, Superman lost his mind over the course of Injustice. It was. I agree with him. Like I liked his ideology, but it was really cool.
The problem with it is there is no black and white when it comes to justice, and that's what injustice turns it into. Yeah. Do we reform them? Do we turn them into? Do we just kill them? And justice is not that black and white, and both characters are in the wrong because they turned it into that.
Yeah.
Everyone lives, everyone dies. Okay, if the Joker blew up Metropolis, he doesn't live. Like that's even normal society has the death sentence.
Oh, one of the coolest moments was like the president was talking about wanting to launch an attack against Superman or something like that, and Batman was like, "Do you have any idea what you're dealing with?" He's like, "They'll never be looking for your body on Saturn."
Yeah.
He's like, "They'll fly."
They bring that up in the latest issues of Injustice too.
Oh, do they?
Yeah. When he gets called, Batman finally gets called into Congress to answer for everything he's done, and they say, "Did you or did you not threaten the last president?" And I quote you, "Leave your body at Saturn." If you mess. And Batman's like, "They took Superman's parents," and they're like, "That is besides the point. Did you or did you not?"
That's what it was. They launched a mission in order to try to bring Superman under control. They launched a mission to kidnap his parents. And like Batman's like, you could not have done a worse thing than this. Yeah. Like, there's bad ideas, then there's this, and then there's what you did, which is just terrible. It was that was such a great moment.
So okay, we're at number 10. I'm going to go to 11 because there's two that I really want to bring up.
Okay,
I'm going to tell it. I am going to finally explain one of the stories that I hate the most. Future's End.
Oh yeah, that's all you, man. I didn't even read it.
Okay, before I get into this, because everyone's gonna hear this and say the story sounds amazing. Mm-hmm. The overall plot is amazing. The idea behind this comic is amazing. The downside to this comic is somebody decided that instead of making this a 6 or a 10 or even a 12 issue crossover thing and make it just a cool little storyline, they turned it into 50-something issues in a weekly series.
Wow.
So you want to talk about... Everyone who watches this channel knows I hate fluff. And if you want to talk about a fluffed-up series, Future's End took forever to get to the point of the goddamn comic.
Wow.
Okay? So I'm telling you all now, I still refuse to do Future's End. But when you hear the story, it is amazing. And I will not deny the bullet points are amazing.
So, did the bullet points exist in comic book form?
No.
Or is it just a bunch of nonsense?
The problem is it's like 50-something issues.
Ah, so.
Like, if you do the bullet points, you're going to be like, so in issue 1, this happened. In issue 7, this happened.
That sucks.
Yeah.
Damn it.
Okay. They were like, Batman Eternal worked. Why don't we do a Batman Beyond Eternal, which is what this is, where the entire world has ended. And that's what this story is. And they just did it so wrong. Okay, but here's the bullet points. Brother Eye has won. Okay, so there's a device that Batman has created called Brother Eye. This happens multiple times in multiple comic book formats, but what it really boils down to, Batman has decided that he needs to overwatch the entire world, and he creates a satellite system that will do this for him. But it's an AI system that goes out of control. Okay? So Brother Eye eventually rules the entire planet. Using cybernetic bugs, Brother Eye is able to transform and enslave most of the superhero community to do his bidding. What he does is he implants these like AI chips into superheroes, and they turn into these like half cyborg, half superhero like contraptions. And that's how he controls them, so he gets access to their powers, but they're not their superheroes. I'm trying to remember who it was in general, but one of the first ones you see is either Superman or maybe it's Wonder Woman, but like they have spider legs and a blaster arm, and they're just coming at somebody. Yeah, it's insane. It's awesome. Okay,
Jesus.
Skynet, man.
Yeah, it's Skynet.
Yeah. Wow.
Okay, the Justice League fails horribly, so they decide that they're going to fix this. They're going to send Batman back in time. The Batman Beyond is Terry McGinnis. Terry McGinnis goes back, and the problem is they messed up the time travel. So he arrives after Brother Eye's already been activated.
Oh, damn.
Okay, he doesn't arrive before it to stop Mr. Terrific from making it. He arrives afterwards. They don't make it Batman making it. They make it Mr. Terrific, and then like through some weird loopholes, they make it Batman. Because in the original, it's Batman that makes Brother Eye.
Yeah, Batman that makes Brother Eye.
But they were trying to make Mr. Terrific more important at the time. Huh. So I forget how they did that, but that's what it goes down with that. Okay,
that's weird.
So anyway, he goes back in time, and the problem is that he fails horribly. Yeah. So nothing goes right. He's like a bum living on the streets trying to investigate things. Terry McGinnis eventually gets beat up, tore down, falls in love with Plastique of all freaking villains. That doesn't go well because she turns into a giant robot trying to kill him. And in the end of the whole deal, he dies. And it's over.
Oh, that's right, because they replaced him with Tim Drake, didn't they?
Tim Drake finishes the operation, prevents Brother Eye from being created.
Yeah.
Everyone's happy. Future's End is over, right? And it's a 52-issue thing in which, like, Terry McGinnis is running around in the past and he's messing with things. And they drop hints that stuff has gone wrong, like Green Arrow doesn't trust Batman and where is Bruce Wayne and stuff like this. All that stuff's going on. And it's a super mystery, but the problem is they take all those subplots like, what happened to Green Arrow? Why is this person around? Who is this guy that's dead? Oh, whose fault is that? They take all of those situations and they try to make them the plot, and none of them matter because you just want to know what the hell is going on with Terry McGinnis, the robots, and Brother Eye. And to make this to make less sense, it's the exact same problem with, there was a story they did recently. The story takes place 5 years in the future from the current day New 52 books of the time. Okay?
When they did recently.
They did something like this recently where they were telling you a story in the future, but you knew because it was the future that wasn't going to happen. So the stakes didn't exist. So things like Green Arrow, I for some reason he keeps sticking out of my mind, but I think he may have been dead or he betrayed somebody. But like that doesn't matter because in the current day, it doesn't matter because this is what's actually going on.
Oh, are you talking about Timeless from the Justice League?
Maybe.
The Timeless storyline?
Might have been
or the
Legacy.
Justice League gets scattered throughout the time stream?
No, that one wasn't bad. I think it was Legacy because the kids from the future came back. But you're like, we know that's not going to matter. There's no stakes with this.
Yeah.
And that's the problem with Future's End. There's no stakes with it. To top it all off, it got tied in to the destruction of Earth 2. Because they would talk about the situation in which Earth 2 was destroyed and the refugees had moved over to Earth 1. And there was like a civil war happening from Earth 1 and Earth 2.
Yeah.
Which was like, this doesn't make sense because we know they're dying over here. And then Earth 2 was being moved over to Future's End, but then that wasn't lining up, so you knew almost definitively that Future's End was not a timeline we were ever going to hit.
Yeah.
You know, so they kept trying to play it up as like, oh no, what's going to happen at Future's End? Who's going to survive? The Justice League has failed, leading to this universe. And you're like, but in the current day, this doesn't work.
Yeah.
So this doesn't make sense. So consider like a 52-issue Elseworld story.
That's about what it sounds like.
Yeah, but following characters you didn't care about half the time. Mm-hmm. Anyway, Terry McGinnis dies. Tim Drake defeats Brother Eye, goes back to the future, and we discover that something still went wrong and Brother Eye took over.
Yeah.
So that's how Tim Drake ended up as Batman Beyond in the future. We discover after 12 issues of Tim Drake as Batman Beyond. I know, it's crazy. It's all over the place. We discover after 12 issues of Tim Drake as Batman Beyond that in actuality, another villain who supposedly had killed Terry McGinnis did not kill Terry McGinnis, and in fact, he is actually still alive, and he's just been brainwashed this whole time to be a villain.
You know why they did that? Because people hated Tim Drake as Batman Beyond.
Yeah.
That's
why?
So no, what it was is the villain that they were fighting turned out to be Terry McGinnis, brainwashed.
Okay. Because Batman Beyond started off as a TV show.
Yes.
And then it was rolled into comics, and it was actually a one-off comic. It was actually his introduction to comics was actually super cool. It was a version of Metropolis that Superman couldn't get into. And like people were just vanishing, like criminals were just vanishing off the streets of Metropolis. And what you found out was that with Lex Luthor basically just covering the entire city in kryptonite, the Superman couldn't get in there. So what he was doing was taking quick shots in and like whisking criminals away. It was really I mean, there's other stuff that goes into it, but it was a really cool story. Wow. Anyway, they rolled him over into the comics, but fans who were reading the comics came to the comics because of the TV show.
Right.
So they wanted to see Terry McGinnis in the comic book form, not Tim Drake. Plus, they were like, Tim Drake's Red Robin, let him be Red Robin. It was people that just didn't want to see things change.
The problem with Tim Drake is that he's the only Robin that has never really moved on to something else.
Yeah.
He's always still
he
Robin.
was Red Robin for a while.
But that's it. He's Red Robin. You have Nightwing, you have Red Hood. Damian's the son of Batman. Tim Drake is an amazing character that always gets pushed to the side because he's either Robin or he's the Red Robin. You know, like it's something like this. He doesn't really get away from it.
I mean, okay, Red Robin has the name Robin in its name, but like...
But he still wears the Robin outfit in almost every appearance.
Yeah, but I would still consider it a different character.
He's the Robin with pants.
I mean, Signal's got like the bat insignia on his chest, and he's not Batman.
I'm just saying, like Tim Drake's never been able to move past the Robin title, which is the problem with him.
What would you make him? I mean, all the.
I don't know either. I have no fix, and that's what DC I think was trying to do. We'll make him Batman Beyond.
Yeah.
We'll fix that. We'll make him like a Batman of the future. They're trying that in Detective Comics again. He becomes Batman.
Oh, in the what is it? The one. God, what is it called? Do not tell me the story that's going on right now. A Lonely Place of Living. Is that what it is? Yeah.
So anyway, that's what ends up happening. We discovered that it was because of everything that happened. Terry McGinnis became the villain. He didn't actually die. And he frees him, and then the timeline gets rewritten again. Tim Drake goes missing, if I remember correctly. And now we have Terry McGinnis back in the future, and they fixed it after Future's End and the Batman Beyond series that no one liked.
Yeah.
But the cool thing about that storyline is Brother Eye sends an assassin from the future, Terminator style. But what he sends is Bruce Wayne attached to the Joker. So so he has the intelligence of Batman, but the insanity of the Joker in a robot.
Is that what's going on right now?
No, this is what happened at Future's End.
Oh, okay.
So it was Bruce Wayne, I believe, with the head of the Joker in his chest.
Whoa. No?
No, I think I'm good.
Futures and Batman Joker hybrid. You got to see what this thing looks like first.
Yeah,
and we'll have it up on the screen right now. This is your cue to fix this and put it up there, Dylan.
Yeah. Batman.
Oh, it was there on the two sides of the head. That was it.
Oh, yeah. Huh.
Oh. Just fused together.
Yeah.
That's interesting.
Is that Silas Stone?
I believe so.
My God! Oh, man. Wow.
Interesting look.
Yeah, see, because here he is. He's a robot with their two heads.
Oh, my God.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
Wow.
So it had cool moments and all, but overall...
Yeah. Yeah, it sounds like a lackluster story. But I've heard nothing but bad things about it for the most part.
The bullet points are great. The core story is great. It's just they tried to do way too much in it. They should have just been like, here's a 6-issue story. Terry McGinnis going back in time to fix things. Mm-hmm. Cool idea, huh? Yeah. And that's what they should have done.
Word.
So, okay, I'm going to bring it to the last one. And the reason I wanted to keep this on here, even though I was going to 10, we're going to go to 11 because I want to mention this last one because I didn't even know this story existed. And you are not allowed to do it until I do it.
Okay.
You're not allowed to do it. I'm going to see if I can even get this out in time for the movie.
Okay.
Okay? You ready, Natalie?
Sure.
Just tell me if this sounds amazing to you. Ready? They're swapped at birth, Batman and Superman. So, in the 31st century, the Justice League is known as the Legion of Superheroes. They're polar opposites of the Legion of Supervillains. Not the most original names, but you get the idea. Once again, this is CBR. So, after deciding that they don't like the way the history has turned out, members of the Legion of Supervillains, who also happen to be aliens, travel back in time and take Bruce Wayne and Clark Kent away from their parents to raise them as dictators.
Wow.
The crazy saga unfolds in Batman Superman number 15 and continues for several chaotic episodes or issues. Wow. Superman and Batman end up killing off most of their regular continuity allies, including vaporizing Green Arrow, murdering Deadman and Zatanna. Wonder Woman kills Batman, so Superman responds by snapping her neck with her own lasso.
Jeez.
Eventually, Superman breaks free of the brainwashing because his best buddy Darkseid from an alternate reality tells him what's going on, and the timeline is restored.
Oh my God.
Does that not sound like the most amazing story?
I want to watch your video on it, to be honest. Like, that sounds like that would be awesome.
I need to find this story and cover it. Yeah, I consider that a Justice League failure.
Yeah. That's a colossal failure. Your top two members conquer the world. Like... Wow.
You just named the video. Batman and Superman conquer the world.
Yeah. That's the most clickbait title ever. Yeah, dude, that will get views.
That's really good.
That will get a lot of views. God, dude, that's crazy.
You're not allowed to do it till I do it.
No, I'm going to do Earth 2. So,
okay.
Yeah.
So there you go. I know there's a lot more times that the Justice League has failed, more than these 11 times, even in these very lists that we have up here, but we are running long on our episode here. Natalie, how do you feel about the Justice League now?
I mean, I've always liked them. Just because they fail in a couple of books doesn't mean that, I'm going to hate them.
Well, I know, but I've always thought it's cool that they do fail in such colossal ways.
I mean, they make mistakes, you know. They're just, yeah.
The Avengers fail, but they kind of always redeem it.
Yeah.
Because while Marvel has like 1 billion and one alternate timelines, they always try to keep the main timeline normal. Mm-hmm. So you never end up going, and now that's a timeline that doesn't need to exist anymore.
Just because, what if? What if they failed? I don't know.
So
yeah, dude, that's pretty nuts, actually. Wow.
Do you think about that? How many has the Avengers ever full on failed in regular continuity? I'm trying to think about that. I mean, I guess you could count like Civil War as a failure.
Yeah, but not really.
Not on the level of the whole world's been conquered by Darkseid or we become dictators.
They failed insofar of the events of like Secret Invasion.
Yeah, you're right. They did fail in that one. But they redeemed it. The same timeline corrected the issue.
Deadpool redeemed it. Deadpool saved the Marvel Universe. No, I mean, Age of Ultron, they failed entirely.
Yeah, I mean, but that's a brand. Well, I mean,
that's an alternate reality.
I say that, but at the exact same time, literally the one I just named off was an alternate reality. So,
yeah. I mean, that is kind of true. They usually succeed for the most part. I mean, hell, they just
may lose a member or two, but I'm pretty sure overall.
But they always end up taking the day usually.
I feel like there's more alternate reality. The Justice League has failed to the point of people dying storylines than there is on the Avengers and Marvel.
I mean, if we're talking about what if, there's a lot of stories where they failed.
Yeah.
There's stories where the Dark Phoenix kills the Marvel Universe, like incinerates the planets. There's stories where the Void, the evil aspect of the Sentry, kills everybody on Earth and like expands into the universe. I mean, there's all kinds of stories. There's stories where Molecule Man went crazy and destroyed everything. There's all kinds of stories where the Marvel Universe gets killed. I mean, the Punisher killed them all once. So
that's true. Yeah, if you like, they literally have comics such and such kills the Marvel Universe. So
exactly. Yeah.
All right. Yeah, I'm wrong.
Yeah.
I just when you try to think about them like on a fly and they're not laid out in front of you.
No. But in terms of what you're saying, in terms of like in the main Marvel timeline, here's how many times.
I mean, just think about this:
how
badly the Justice League failed with Maxwell Lord twice.
Yeah, Wonder Woman had to kill him. Actually. Yeah. Oh, it was one of the craziest things. Wonder Woman snapped his neck on live television. Not knowing she was being seen, but yeah, she snapped. No, I don't think it was on. Was it on live television?
Yeah, I believe so.
Yeah, she snapped his neck. I think it was a fail-safe Maxwell Lord had installed because his idea was to bring down the superheroes. And in order to bring down, because with Batman creating Brother Eye, Maxwell Lord, who was just this guy that had telepathy, he could, well, not really telepathy, but he could kind of mind control. Anyway, he had taken, like, basically broken through Brother Eye and used it for his own. And then a character named Blue Beetle figured it out. Maxwell Lord killed Blue Beetle. Wonder Woman realized he's the one that did it, so she killed him on national television.
Gosh.
Yeah. Snapped his, a whole, 180. His head was facing that way. It was crazy. Yeah, his face was the other way.
So, all right. Well, I hope you guys enjoyed this. I hope you learned something. I hope you learned something, Natalie, about your favorite characters before they go on that big screen.
Yeah.
Thanks for having me. It's fun.
Well, thank you for being here.
Yeah,
if you want to see more of Rob, Benny, and Natalie talk about stuff that they all don't fully know that much about and they're learning it as we go, that is on our gaming channel, Eligible Monster. The link will be down below. Don't forget to support Jason Inman's new comic, Jupiter Jet, if you are so inclined. I'll give you the various links to that also. Yeah. And you can find Rob at Comics Explained on Twitter. I'm at Comicstorian. You should know that you're on my channel. You can also subscribe to the channel to get your videos every Saturday of us discussing things. And Natalie, our lovely guest, is at Zodical Candy on Twitter. Thank you.
No problem.
I like how you just kind of.
I was not. I was. Yeah.
Just swatting at her.
All right, guys. You have a good day.
Thanks.
Peace.